All right, the work session for the ARB is underway. First one on our list, we got 3 that are public hearings. So the first one is 130 West Swan. Are there any comments on this one?
I have some questions on this one. Is the existing siding remaining or is it being replaced? And if so, what are the proposed siding materials, the configuration, et cetera? And then also a minor point, if there's any sort of closure plan for below the front porch.
I'm just going to give a quick reminder for those, because we just started. For those that are listening, we are still we're in the work session that has just begun. So they will be discussing the projects, and then at 5:30, the main meeting will start.
I had a comment on the shingle style. There was shake shingle siding proposed, and I was wondering if they could match the fish scale. That way it looks a little bit more cohesive. And then there's a shed roof at the master bath that I thought was a little high. It looks like it's in conflict with the roof above it on page 5.
That does look a little bit close.
That's all I had. This one.
I just had a couple material things too. I had wondered the same thing about the shingles. And then for the stone veneer at the base, and I guess this is more just a question, is that what the house is, if it has like the old stone look? That's why they're doing that. I guess I'm just curious. But that's it, nothing really.
Okay. My only question was, I guess it's that fireplace is recessed pretty far. It wasn't a big deal, but I wondered if they were doing anything below that on the deck. That was really the only question I had. Okay, Ken, do you have any comments?
Didn't.
Okay. All right. Moving on then. Next is 166 South Gore.
No comments.
Andrew.
I have a clarification question. The demolition notes say that the existing siding is being removed, but in a lot of those same locations, the new work notes say existing structure, no work. So I was wondering if the siding is being replaced or not.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Next we have 28 East Cedar. It's a resubmittal.
So you had previously approved this one at the last meeting. They are asking for the rear window that faces south to remove the grids and just be a 1/1.
That's fine with me.
No problem.
So it was one that I couldn't
Sure.
administratively approve just
Okay.
because it was an historic district. So they came back, we put them back on.
Yep.
So you'd be able to just vote for that on that third item.
Okay. All right. Then we get 1, 2, 3 pre-approvals. Next we got 744 Clark, which was a front porch.
A question about whether the second floor has the railings a true walkout or just a walkout wall.
That's existing.
Yeah, and they show furniture up there. On this picture of the existing one, it shows
They're-
the previous page you have.
So they're just doing the shed roof in
So
front.
this is all staying, I assume, as it is.
It's not really drawn correctly. The shed roof is just landing on posts. There's no beam shown.
Right. You Assume there's gonna be a beam at the same
Yeah, so I
depth
think it's
as.
gonna look a little bit different.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does. come to the front.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a little hard to say what exactly they're doing. You know, like
Answers
the
my question.
some overhangs and things, seem a little bit,
Mhm.
anything, I don't know if they're gonna be there. Materials and so forth.
Yeah, for me, it was pretty clear in plan what they were doing, but I think the elevations, they're a sketch
Mhm.
and they're missing information. So they're missing structural information, they're missing what kind of material. What's the cladding gonna be? It's rendered as, horizontal siding, but is it? What's on the back of it? Is it accurate? The slope at 3 and 12, I think is what they had called out. So how far below is from the window for real?
Mhm.
So that was kind of, I had similar comments.
It is just, it's a little awkward design to have the roof go beyond the railing. When you're up there, what do you see on the backside of that
Right.
roof?
Exactly.
I don't know if there's another way to kind of design that or not take the roof over quite as far.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I was wondering, is that what they're doing? Or, because it has a bit of a schematic feel. Is that what they're doing? Like, will the columns match the existing columns? Or will
Mhm.
they look like this? So. Well, can't tell.
Right. Left to guess. Okay. Any other comments? Next one is 121 Hull. Side dormer and windows.
A couple of clarification items. On the front elevation photograph, there's a note that says that the porch will be opened, but that's not shown that way on the drawings.
So that one will be coming back to you later. They need a variance. And so we told them that they could not come forward with that item until they've obtained their variance. So they still have to go to Board of Adjustment. They are only coming to you for the dormer
Okay,
and the other changes that can be done without a variance.
okay. And then regarding the dormer, it looks like on the front elevation that the dormer doesn't have an overhang that projects over to the left elevation. It looks like it's kind of chopped short, which I think would give a very strange appearance if that is indeed the case. And then also too, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose of that dormer. Maybe they need more head height at the stair or something, and wonder if there might be an alternative solution other than that pop-up gable that's kind of competing with the main ridge.
Yeah, I have the same. I don't know if there's a way to just do a single gable, so there's not two.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just something to kind of smooth that out because it's right on the corner and it is so terribly visible.
Mhm.
So it might be worth having a conversation about.
I had a couple of thoughts on the dormer too. One would be, when they do the extension, this would I guess prohibit them from having a window. They did that extension with the big overhang in the house. If they just did the dormer without an overhang, it set off the edge of the house, maintaining the current integrity of that overhang on its side. Or if they want to get the window in, they would just extend the ridge line up to the meet point, come back down, and then just have a vertical drop. But that would, they're kind of interrupting that thing, and then you got the double dips they do with the valley. And that kind of thing. So I think a couple different ways they can go at that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it going, just to continue it up would really make it all that high. I mean, that's what I thought. It's just,
That's if they just held it with no overhang, they just go up and leave the existing, and then that would be if they want to win it, go up, come down and drop and then go.
yeah, just, okay, yeah, it just seems like not exactly sure why they did. Yeah. They're trying to, I don't know.
Okay. Next one, 523 Webster Forest Drive.
My only comment on this was to interrupt the lattice on either side of the stone fireplace and do a solid skirting below the brick.
The same comment.
Yeah.
And they wanted to push it out and have a brick plan, great, but that's not necessary.
I had a question too about exactly where the stone veneer ends. If you look at the illustration on the front page, it looks like that the stone veneer ends at the top of the porch floor. However, if you look in elevation, it's drawn that the stone veneer covers the rim joists, which kind of adds to that levitating stone look. So I think that just needs to be clarified what the intent is there. So we can comment and address it appropriately.
Yeah, I have the same, I'd just like it to be different there in the middle.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
I think if they do, for whatever reason, want to have that stone go over the rim joist, then the panel that Ken's talking about would help mitigate the odd appearance of what we've got there
A
now.
bit of base.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Agreed. All right. Work session, pause.
I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording for those that are listening. We'll come back on at 5:30 for the main meeting. For those that are currently on waiting, we are waiting for our meeting to start at 5:30. We have already completed our work session and we will be back on again at 5:30 to start the main meeting.
All right, welcome everyone online. We have just completed our work session, so the official Architect Review Board meeting will begin. With us in the council chamber, Mara Perry and Kelly Campbell with the city. To my right, we have Carol Dunkey, Ken Burns, Angela Thompson, Tracy Collins, and myself, Bob Buckman, volunteer architects on the board. First item of business will be to review meeting minutes from June 3rd, which we were all in attendance for. Do I have, or are there any comments, or do I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the June 3rd meeting minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed. June 3rd meeting minutes are approved. Next, we have 3 pre-approvals. First one is 315, 315 plant. The lighting in here, that's what it is. Now, when I ask for a motion, I refer to the written comments provided. So first one is 315 plant. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve 315 plant with the clarification that the existing wood handrail on the front porch steps will be kept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. 315 is approved. Next, we have 574 Hollywood. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 574 Hollywood with the understanding that there will be trim at the top of the columns.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed. 574 Hollywood's approved. And the last pre-approval, 336 Pappen. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve 336 Pappen with the understanding that the windows in the detached garage will match the style of the windows on the house.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed. All right, Pappen is approved. Next on our list, we have 3 projects that are public hearing. When we read your project, if there's anyone online, raise your hand. We'll add you to our Zoom call in. First one is 130 West Swan.
Yes. Jim Bulejski here.
Hi, Jim.
How are you?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi,
Okay, yeah, hi, that's Nick Wool. I'm the owner.
Hi, Nick, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, a few comments.
I just had a question about the scope of work for the existing siding. Is that remaining or is it being replaced? Just to clarify.
Jim, do you want me to answer that or?
Yeah.
It is. The siding's actually in pretty good shape. The paint is of varying levels of decay, so we're working on that, but we'll be sanding down a lot and power washing and cleaning it up. There are a few spots that need to be addressed for sure, and that will be replaced with like siding, either cedar or we use a LP product that is nice, and so we'll be doing that for the lap. The fish scale looks to be in pretty good shape. Same with the shake on the house, but again, the paint's in bad shape, so we got our work ahead of us for that stuff. So but the intention is to keep as much as we can.
Great. So you're basically just restoring what's there and you'll be replacing if it's deteriorated with like material,
Correct.
like configuration, I should say.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
And then just another minor question. Is there any type of closure planned for the area that's below the front porch so the posts aren't visible?
Yeah, Jim, do you want me to address that or do you want to address that?
Well, Carol, I'm not so sure it's very high off the ground. I know that we're gonna want to do something to keep the varmint out of there. So yeah, it might be an extra piece of trim, getting it closer down to the ground. But I don't believe it's gonna be much more than about 10, 12 inches at its most.
Yeah.
Sometimes we put a concrete block down there and trim down to it. But we're not looking to pour a linear foundation and close it in like a crawl space. I mean, maybe add another piece of trim to get it a little closer to the ground.
Yeah, I think that sounds just fine. It would give you a little more grounded and completed look. So I think that would be great.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Like I say, we got to keep the varmint out of there anyway.
Sure, thanks.
I had a comment about the siding, and you mentioned that there's shake on the existing house, which I didn't catch. But my comment was that maybe the shake shingle that's proposed becomes the fish scale style so that it ties in a little bit more to the existing.
Well,
Sorry,
we'd
Jim, go ahead.
like you say, the existing house has a fair amount of shingle siding on it right now.
Does it?
Yeah,
I can see the fish scale in the photos, but I can't see where.
it is a little hard. If you like turn to the photos, and you go to the backside, that gable up there is all shingle,
Okay.
and the dormers up on the roof are all shingle.
Oh, yeah, you can kind of see it in that.
You can see it in the
there.
west.
Yeah, I was thinking that you were adding a material, but it makes sense now that there's some.
Yeah.
And I just want to jump in. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not making it too gimmicky, you know, and adding more embellishment than it needs. I think Jim's vision was to, you know, have the main structure, the original Victorian, to be prominent, and then this addition to kind of fade away to the back so it complements the main house. So that's my feeling about it, but you know,
Yeah,
again,
exactly, Nick. That's right. We don't want to overpower the existing house. We're trying to stay somewhat neutral.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Another comment I had was the shed roof at the master bath. That is on the,
It's on sheet 5. It's the rear elevation.
yeah, it just looks like that roof is a little, it looks like it might be in conflict with the roof above it. It's really,
Well, it's not conflict. It just comes up underneath it, underneath the soffit.
yeah, just,
It's a little quirky, but these old houses, they were quirky. So we can take a look at it. We've got it up there right now so that we don't have to have a soffit inside. But it is an area that I've got my eye on. If there's a better way to do it, we'll find it. But at the way it's showing, it's not so bad right now.
You could consider just raising that bearing point, say a foot. You're trying to separate slope roof with the little shed here.
yeah, I thought the shed could just
Sort of
nudge
flat.
down a little bit.
Raise the midpoint a
Yeah.
little bit, create clearance between the two.
I mean, we could drop the shed down 12 inches if we're okay having a soffit inside over the tub. But
I mean, I'm okay. I mean, I don't want to get a big fight over the, you know, the shed roof on the back. You know, if that's the solution, I'm okay with that. If we do a soffit inside the inside that bump out, which is the master bathroom, freestanding tub area, then it would, I can work around that, you know, with trim out. So, you know.
right,
if
but I would have to ask the board, is this a pressing item or is this just an observation?
No, I just bring it up because I think you're gonna have problems with flashing, more constructability than aesthetics.
All right. I appreciate it, Tracy. Thank you.
It would just be a suggestion on my part. Would demand.
Ken, can you speak up in the microphone? What?
I said it's just a suggestion on my part. I wouldn't demand that you do it. Can you
I
hear?
can't hear you very well. It's an obstruction?
Is this microphone working?
Jim, Ken said,
I don't think your microphone's working, Ken.
his microphone's not on. Hold on a second.
There we go. Can you hear me now? He said, my comment is a comment and I'm not demanding anything be done, just I think either dropping the shed roof on the sidewall or raising the bearing point of the lower slope roof to create some separation there would probably be nice, but it's not a overwhelmingly important detail, but just.
Right, thank you.
My question, I only had one question, Jim. What's going on in the patio? Is the fireplace, is there a footprint down there? I couldn't really tell from the elevation.
Well, we have a main fireplace inside
Yeah,
the back room, and then we decided to have a fireplace on the porch that projects out 2 feet. I think you're maybe referring to, would we consider taking that firebox all the way down to the ground? I mean, we could, but I don't see it. It's well underneath that deck in the back there and out of view. I don't think it's necessary, especially since we have a chimney that comes out up above. And whether it's in line with this box or the one behind it, most people won't be able to tell that.
yeah, I don't disagree. It's recessed, so you don't really see it. But since I didn't see a ground floor or a basement plan, I just didn't know.
Yeah, we were planning on just keeping that box on the
Okay,
wood terrace.
all right. Looks good. I believe we've covered our comments.
Mhm.
Is there anyone else online that wants to make a comment about 130 West Swan? Raise your hand. Seeing no one. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 130 West Swan as submitted with the clarifications that the existing siding will remain and be repaired, and that a piece of trim will be added below the front porch to close off the area between the bottom of the porch and grade.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, Nick and Jim, you're approved.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
Appreciate
Next on our list, we have 166 South Gore. Is there anyone online? Please raise your hand.
Hi, this is Ben Ellerman from Blaes Architects, and I have the homeowners Terry and Anita Fox here with me as well.
Welcome all. I think we had maybe one question or clarification.
Yeah, it was a clarification about the scope of work on the existing siding.
Mhm.
I noticed that the key demolition notes indicate that the siding is being removed, but on the elevation notes, it just says existing structure, no work. So what is the scope for the siding?
Originally, we had looked at, because some painters had said that they'd have difficulty painting that siding or that the actual shingles, but we're actually going to keep as much as we can. Only areas that are damaged will get replaced and the new will match existing. So the vast majority of it will remain, and those demolition notes need to be revised.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for the clarification. And by the way, I think you guys did a really nice job on this design, making it compatible with the original house. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yep, very thoughtful, I thought as well. All right, with that, is there anyone else online that wants to make a comment on 166 South Gore? Raise your hand. Nobody? All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 166 South Gore as submitted with the understanding that the existing siding will remain and be repaired. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed? All right, Ben, Terry, and Anita, you are approved.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Next, we have 28 East Cedar. If anyone's online, please raise your hand.
Hi there.
Hello,
Hi, is this Mark?
yes, Marc Peoples.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I think you may have heard us beforehand. I don't believe the board has any concerns with what you want to do, so. But since it's a historic district, we have to have a public vote. So with that, is there anyone else online that wants to make a comment on 28 East Cedar? Raise your hand. And seeing no one, then I will ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 28 East Cedar as submitted. Resubmitted,
With the resubmittal, yes.
as resubmitted. Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed? All right, Mark, you're approved.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Next, we have 744 Clark. Is there anyone online for 744 Clark? Please raise your hand.
Hi,
Welcome.
so it's a homeowner, Greg Hedrick, and then their friend who helped design their porch, Jen Brown.
Okay. Well, I think we had some questions and comments regarding the renderings and some missing information.
Okay,
Are the columns going to be exactly the same as the existing? Is there going to be a structural beam at the same depth as the existing? What are the materials going to be? Those were a few of them.
the materials for the columns for the porch that we're constructing, or the one that's existing for the screened-in portion?
The one that you're going to construct.
I think it says in the construction notes, it was just a 6x6 treated, and then we're gonna wrap it in PVC columns. There's a PVC wrap going around them.
Mhm.
So they're not going to look like the other ones?
Because the existing one, we were gonna do more of a craftsman style, just a simple PVC wrap, I believe. It's in which page? Oh, it's not in this.
Now you have that noted on A-3, but then it doesn't really match your section on A6.
Right.
It's like a different style, which doesn't match the rendering, so it's kind of,
It's a little ambiguous. Is the preference then to just match them exactly to the existing screened-in portion?
I mean, if it were me, that's what I'd do.
Okay, so we'll do that.
So then it will match the existing column?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really kind of the question, because you have a section that's drawn that says one thing, the sketch says something different, and what is in the existing picture is yet different.
The rendering was just a rough elevation drawings, not necessarily to the exact design of what we would do. The details where I wrote the white PVC portrait and the white beadboard ceiling, the craftsman PVC column wraps are indicative of the actual design. That's on the third page.
Yeah, you mean sheet A6?
I think that's 8. We had to resubmit because we were missing something, but it's where it shows with the porch flooring we intend to use, the PVC porch railings, the beadboard ceiling, and the craftsman column wraps.
It's just a plain. Yeah, I guess it's called craftsman.
Oh, I see. It's kind of,
Doesn't match.
yeah, it's not comprehensive. That's why. Oh. Craftsman PVC column. Okay, I see that now.
Yeah, So that's what we had intended to do on the front. The side ones are basically just 6x6 painted, that all of the screen is tied into. So it wasn't really a design feature. It seemed more functional, but
Well, it does have cap and base trim that make it more than just a plain 6x6.
yeah, it did have a little bit of trim. Is that, could we make that match more of the Craftsman style? Would that be acceptable from just an aesthetics?
Well, the trim that's there matches the style of your house.
Okay.
And when you say Craftsman, that really, even though companies might label something Craftsman, that doesn't mean that that is the one.
Yeah, I understand that. That's what the manufacturer, it's,
So
they just called it the Craftsman.
I would say that the capital and the base that are there are not Craftsman. I mean, I don't know what else actually you would call it.
Jargon?
Well,
Kind of.
Colonial.
what's it called?
You have a colonial style, yeah, house.
Is it more of a colonial? Okay. So would
It's more
that,
traditional.
would that be the recommendation then from you guys, that the
I think
columns that we wrap would be a more traditional, or I don't know the other word you used.
I guess I think it would look better if all the columns matched. It'll just
Yeah.
look like it's intentional instead of you forgot that detail.
Yeah, certainly. So if they match, whether that's traditional style or what the manufacturer labeled as Craftsman style, is that just, as long as they match, then it's good?
I think if it matches, it's good, and it really doesn't matter what you call it, just so.
Okay, all right, noted. All right, can do that.
I just had a flash idea here just to throw out again. You know,
Okay,
We hadn't talked about this either, but if you're extending this porch so that you can under roof get into your screen porch, and I get that.
yeah,
I'm just wondering if you pulled the end of that new porch in back about, enough to keep the door access, and maybe bring it back in short of the screen porch by 18 inches or something, that would leave that whole nice, very nice profile of the gutter and everything else about the screen porch would then turn and return into this thing. If you're trying to flush everything out, I can just see a lot of things can go wrong.
okay, so you mean bring it 18 inches from the left to the right, so that some of the stairs are actually not underneath the roof?
Well, I would run it back by your architect. But,
Yeah.
It's just, you draw these things flush like this, and when you build them, you can get surprises that are not pleasant, so.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's a interesting comment. I like that idea
And if you're
myself.
not going to match the columns, at least it gives you a rationale for not matching them, but.
We'll match the columns. I think the consensus is matching the columns.
But maybe bringing it around so that it does just cover the stairs is the spot, whatever that distance is, but you
Yeah,
have.
because right now we have it completely covering the stairs, which is what, because the stairs begin right off the driveway. And then that's like even with the screen. And so that's why we had extended the roof that far, is because it covers where the stairs we proposed going. But if that you think is going to be a
Well,
functional issue, then we can certainly change that.
that would also give you a little opportunity to do between the driveway and where this new porch exists. Maybe do a little planter there and soften it up.
Because yeah, right, the existing now is pretty harsh concrete, like block, basically,
Yeah.
right underneath the screened-in porch.
It's a suggestion. I run it back by your architect and
Okay,
that, but I'm just really afraid trying to flush that out. It's just going to be.
okay. So then would you, instead of doing, do more of a different roof line then on that corner,
I can't imagine what other roof line you would do here,
rather than
but
just do like a hip
yeah.
right there?
You might want to check, it looks like the steps, like coming up from the driveway to that is actually 5 steps.
Mhm.
And you have shown here 4.
3, 4.
Steps.
Yeah, they're pretty
it's-
shallow
It'll be
steps,
a little
but
bit different.
or the rise isn't very high at all on the existing steps.
Yeah, you don't want to make your risers there. I don't think, don't make them too high. That's.
Yeah,
So,
but the existing ones are, I think, right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'd be 2 onto the sidewalk, and then there's 2 onto 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 2 onto the screen-in porch.
well, there's actually 3 steps up to the screen porch from that sidewalk.
Yeah, I guess it has about maybe 4 inches. But yeah, the ones going to the sidewalk, because we want to make all the risers the same distance up, because the ones to the sidewalk are really low, and then there's the 2 that go onto the screen-in porch, which have a higher rise. So when we calculated it out, it seemed like to get the same rise, it would be about 4 steps.
Did you look at keeping that gable over the main door and just extending that out at all?
We thought if we did, just like that, the really steep one right over the front door.
Yeah, I think that might help you keep the grandness of the entry. Right now, it's kind of lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So like pitch the inside of the ceiling on the covered roof portion.
I think you could keep your shed roof, but your shed roof will just die into this gable that is being extended out.
That's a good idea.
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would look nice. And I agree with that one, that too. That's a good idea, Tracy.
It's one of the most distinguishing pieces of character on the house.
So not keep it, I mean, have the roof come down, just like the shed roof, and then in the very front where you enter to have that architectural detail. Okay. So is that a suggestion or a requirement?
Well, I think the things that we're talking about now, we're pointing out some things that are questions in the drawings because the drawings aren't clear and cohesive. So I suspect that we're probably going to have you revise these drawings with any
Yeah.
comments that we've.
Yeah, certainly. But I was just, this detail is that,
Something to look at. We're suggesting it might help your front elevation just to make the front door a little bit more obvious and grand and keep a little bit more of the existing character of the home.
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then, because you guys were talking about the roof previously, and then how it ties into the railings on the existing balcony. And I remember you guys having some kind of comment about that, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you want to resolve that issue, since we're on the topic of the roof.
Yeah, it is kind of an awkward design to have the roof cover the railing. If you think about being up on that porch, what are you seeing on the backside of the roof?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the top of the rail is higher than the windows on the front elevation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it was,
The railing will actually come up above that roof.
it'll come up above regardless of whether we did a hip roof or a shed roof. So it seemed like,
You could kind of turn it with a hip or something.
yeah, and then it would reveal part of it. It was just kind of an awkward spot right there, so.
Well, I think maybe if you take Ken's suggestion to pull it back, you might pull it back enough to turn it into a hip and it might be less awkward.
Okay,
Well, if you did that, you could run the hip up to the house and then
Yeah.
let the rail run up over it, but it's still gonna be taller than the roof.
yeah, it's still gonna be taller than the roof, and you'll still see some, because there will be some odd triangle there, just because we don't want to divert rain onto the balcony, of course.
It would also, you could match the pitch. You could use the gable coming off the front door and then match the pitch over on the side for the hip, to even it up there.
So that steep,
Yes, I wouldn't make it a different pitch. That would be,
the steep is the entrance little roof. Because that seems very steep unless I'm not looking at it correctly.
Yeah, I like that detail at the front door, but if you look at the elevation of it, and now we're gonna try and bring a roof into it and tie it.
Yeah, it's,
If you stayed with the shed there, it's a cleaner, easier project, but
that's what we were thinking, because then the ledger board would run all the way to the exterior post that's going there. And then if we bring the roof line to the right further, we throw another post kind of in front of the screened-in porch too. And then if we have a hip there,
I think it's just something you're gonna have to play with and study, see what looks right.
Right.
yeah.
So I guess really at this point, I mean, I think we've given you a few things to suggest you review. And then I really, when you resubmit something back, because my suggestion is we don't vote on this and we just table it and have you work out on some of the design and get it to where you would like it. But when you resubmit, I think the drawing should be accurate. So I know the sketch was kind of a sketch idea, but it's kind of hard for us to know what you're gonna do if you've got 3 different ideas that aren't depicted the same. So when you come up with a solution, I think that would be my suggestion, is that you submit a comprehensive presentation that's cohesive. If that makes sense. So we should know, it should be exactly what you're doing. The plan should match the elevations, and have the material called out. I think we'll be good.
so where, because I felt like we called out the materials. I mean, the columns didn't match the existing, I understand that. But, and then
Right. And then,
the rendering didn't show the exact.
right, it did not
columns.
show the exact design. So
Exactly.
I'm
Is
saying-
there anything, I just want to make sure that the next one we get,
Right.
so I just,
look like what you're gonna build is what I'm.
yeah, but my question is it seemed like the columns were the biggest.
I mean, if
Is
you,
there anything else?
yeah, you're structurally this is not working at all. You need a beam under there.
Right,
Not shown, and the section through it doesn't match the
right.
renderings.
The beam,
The actual exterior elevations would be most helpful to us. We're all architects, so we're used to looking at that kind of thing. And I personally would prefer to have an exterior elevation where you call out the materials and the details, what everything really looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the plan should match the elevation, should match the rendering, because if they conflict, we don't know what you're really intending to build. So all of your drawings should match.
understood. Okay.
All right. I think with that, we'll just table this. You can take our considerations and then resubmit when you get things worked out.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Good night. All right, next on the list, we have 121 Hull. Is there anyone online to speak on that? Please raise your hand.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Well, welcome. I'm not sure if you heard some of the conversation before.
We did. Yes, we did.
Okay. Did you guys consider perhaps extending the roof up to simplify that ridge, or some other idea, or?
No, we did not hear the pre-meeting. It was muted for us.
They weren't on during the.
Oh,
talking.
sorry. Okay, I thought you said you heard us.
Sorry.
Okay, so I think one of the comments was, did with that overhang on the side, and the second dormer being added, it seems a little, complicated. Did you consider perhaps simplifying it and continuing the main, eave line board up to tie them in together and simplify the roof and that end of the house?
We have not talked to the architect about it. That's the solution he gave us. The reason why we have the dormer there was to add headroom to the stairs going up to the second floor. And that was the best solution he found for us with the existing structure.
Yeah, so it's a functional solution,
Correct.
but then the question was aesthetically, it's a little complicated. Did you consider simplifying it?
Well, he hasn't given us any other options. That's, according to him, that's the best way to get it done, to give us the headroom that we need.
You'd have the same headroom.
Right.
It would just extend on the, it would be mostly from the outside, it would be different.
So just get rid of the little angle going down and just continue the roof line?
Yes.
Okay, we can
I
talk
mean,
to him about
if
it.
you look at if you look at the side of your house, it's very simple now.
Correct.
And that dormer that's being added is sort of messy. It seems like it could be cleaned up and look as simple as it does currently and still work. Maybe even more.
So just continue the roof line.
Yeah.
Yep, you're just connecting the dots from the existing to the new.
From one peak to the next peak, pretty much.
Yeah, one peak, which simplifies the shedding water and all that too.
Yeah. I'm sorry? So we need to raise the whole roof from halfway up?
If you look at your left side elevation, the new roof on the right side, if you were to extend that roof to a point where it would connect to the existing roof line, if you continued the existing roof line.
Okay, so just draw a straight line from the pitch of the roof.
Take the outside angles and go up. Instead of going down, they go up.
Yep, just lifting it up.
Yeah, just one single peak instead of two double. You got two peaks right now.
Okay. We can talk to him about that.
The other option would be to leave the eave on the side of the house as is. Don't put an overhang on your peak out dormer. And that would stay off the edge of the house. So when you drove by, the sight line on the side of the house would remain as is. I don't know if you understand that or not.
Yeah, the only,
I'm having a hard time understanding that option.
the window would have to be modified though.
Well,
Yeah.
in that scheme of things, you might do a skylight or something. Yeah, it does knock out that second window. I failed to mention that.
Yeah.
That is true.
Or else perhaps there might be an opportunity to kind of put a window out the back.
On the
like a
back
dormer,
face of the dormer.
so you could get
Sky- upper
natural
lights.
light
Yeah.
into your stair and into that upper hall. So that, I think that would look nice because you would maintain your nice, simple, original roof line and just do a dormer out the back and use that a rear window to get your light into that area.
Okay, so just put the dormer towards the back of the house instead of the side of the house.
Yes, I think that would be one option for you to consider. I think that would clean it up considerably, it'd be simpler to construct, and I think it would still meet your goals of getting some natural light up there and also giving you some headroom, so you don't have to duck at the top of your stairs. I know what that's like. I don't like.
Nice. All right, we'll rework the plans then.
Okay, well, I mean, I think, we're just basically giving you some ideas we think that are gonna simplify the design, probably even cost less. So, but also look better, in our opinion. I mean, I guess next steps for you would be, we could table this and you could take your comments to your architect and then just get back to us when you have, a decision made.
yes, we were trying to get the project going, but if that's our only option, then that's our only option.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right,
thank you.
very good. You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, last on the list, 523 Webster Forest Drive. Is there anyone online? Please raise your hand. Hello? Anyone?
I'm here and I think my contractor is here. This is Dave, the homeowner.
Hi, Dave. Welcome back.
Thanks.
He's not down.
All right.
Can you hear me? This is
Yeah.
Mark.
Hi, Mark. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. I don't know if you heard our discussion at the beginning.
I did.
Okay. Any thoughts?
So it sounded like the concern that you had was there was a conflicting detail showing the continuation of the perimeter band or fascia.
Yeah.
So the intention is for that stone veneer to stop at the top of the deck and the fascia would be continuous around the perimeter of the structure there.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's shown both ways. But the intention is for that stone to finish at the top of the platform there.
Yeah, so the stone will be slightly in from the edge of the deck.
Yeah. You'll see a continuous fascia around the perimeter of the structure, the base of the structure, yes.
Okay.
And then lattice below that.
I think that's one thing that we were discussing is since the stone fireplace is so heavy, it feels a little awkward to have something light like the lattice underneath. If there's a way to make something solid, you could take the stone all the way down, but due to the expense, I mean, we would be open to something that's just solid underneath. So that it grounds that fireplace.
So we've constructed projects with this detail several times and showed pictures to the homeowner of these things done that way. That was the preference, was to have the fireplace sit on top of platform and not have a continuation of solid structure to the ground.
As the homeowner here, I heard your concerns, of course, 2 weeks ago. I didn't go to architectural school and I didn't take the class in levitating fireplaces, of course. We have immediately behind us the identical footprint for a sunroom that is at least 10 feet off the ground. My wife and I have looked at this repeatedly since we last met 2 weeks ago. And while it's a screened in porch of the same dimensions that we will be having screened in, we both looked and said, well, geez, if there was a fireplace at the end of the deck of our neighbors, it would not offend us or look weird or be bizarro world to us at all. Our deck is going to have maybe 3 feet between the bottom of the deck and the ground as opposed to 10 feet. So I really don't think it's an issue at all.
So that stone veneer, it's a veneer, and yes, it's possible to construct it, but the idea is that stone veneer is trying to look like actual stone, which is a heavy object, which needs to be grounded to the ground. So having it look like there's just one little stick holding up this big stone fireplace, it it feels uneasy. It feels like this thing needs to be solid underneath. So I think that's our suggestion to help.
What do you mean by stick? I'm confused.
Underneath, if you look at the north elevation, right now you just see one post underneath the deck level at the fireplace.
Mark, can you comment?
Well, what you're seeing there is a structural post that carries the ridge beam of the roof, but you know, what you're going to be seeing from the exterior of the perimeter of this is going to be lattice and trim work. And it's also going to be sitting on a 12-inch platform and have that solid base, you know, supporting it. I mean, I don't believe it's going to appear that the fireplace is supported by a single 6x6 post centered on the middle of that. That won't be the, excuse me, I don't think that's going to be the perception at all, you know, with the way this is going to finish with the
Yeah, there are
lattice.
two posts. There are two posts in addition to that single one. They're going to be, you know, on the corner posts as you were, plus this single post. So I don't think it's going to look like it's just being a single post without anything else.
So I agree with the comment of it just looks awkward. I understand everybody today knows that this is fake, but isn't the point of putting fake stone on there that to make it look like it's real? This doesn't look real. It's just spells out, we have fake stone. So, you know, isn't the point to make it look like you have this stone fireplace? Otherwise you could just put it on the inside.
Save some money.
You're saying shift the fireplace a foot inside the deck. So
I meant the
you're-
inside face, you know, just face the fireplace itself if they want to see it from their porch. And then on the other side, you could make it look like whatever, you know.
Well, the living space is going to be, we've got sofas facing each other right in front of the fireplace. One sofa, 4 chairs actually facing each other with an end table, coffee table between, right in front of the fireplace. So we can go out there with a glass of wine in the evening.
I think you're misunderstanding. I mean, what the fireplace looks like, not moving the whole fireplace, but what it looks like.
You're suggesting finishing the back side of this that's exposed to the yard in a different material other than stone. Is that correct?
Well,
Right, so it doesn't look so artificial. I mean, it looks artificial this way. So I guess I don't really see the point if it's just gonna look fake.
So we build a lot of stone structures on top of frame platforms, whether it be stone outdoor kitchens or fireplaces. And I think typically the preference is for that exterior finish to be stone instead of siding. And
Is this a requirement or is this a suggestion?
yeah, so I think one of the things we're getting at is we're talking about just the area below the stone. You know, instead of that being lattice, perhaps it's just a solid material. We're not saying it has to be stone. If I were doing it, I would make it stone. But if you don't want to do stone because of cost, we're saying maybe the base of it could be something else that's solid just for the width of it to make it look a little more grounded. Or you could consider not doing, you know, stone on the backside if it's a cost thing. So that's all we're saying. There's some options. Visually, we just feel like, or I do, Angela does. I think Carol did too. But that the fireplace width just at that location needs to be something other than lattice is really all we're saying. It could be stone, it could be a solid, you know, infill piece, something that make it sort of look a little more intentional and not like fake stone floating on lattice work, I guess is what we're saying. So.
Well, again, my neighbor's got a completely open, no lattice work, 10 foot here in Webster. And if there was a fireplace, as you say, floating, it wouldn't offend me. I think it looked fine. I'm confused by your concern.
Okay.
I
So
guess
we-
we're speaking from an architectural aesthetics standpoint, and
Right.
while it might not offend you, we're trying to just make this,
Suggestion or?
it's, for me, it's not a suggestion. I would not vote on it the way that it's presented.
So you've talked about stone across the entire 8 feet of that area?
I'm not sure how wide the fireplace is, but it's just the area underneath the fireplace. So you could have lattice start and stop and just terminate at the fireplace.
The width of the fireplace, they went stone all the way down. Or something solid.
For me, it could be stone, it could be some solid panel, something other than lattice.
And maybe just, you can support from the underside of the deck. Some framing drops down and you could put like a piece of cement board on it or something.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the trim.
Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, with, I mean, you could even put some cement board and trim that out a little bit just to give it a visual base and then terminate your lattice into that. I think that would be fine and it wouldn't be a cost burden. And I think it would look a lot more grounded and coherent, I guess is the word too.
Mark, in all the decks you've done like this, have you had to put stone or something in front of it to appease somebody?
No. I mean, I've sent you a website showing a number of these projects with fireplaces built exactly the way we're talking about doing it. I can't say that, anyone else that we've done this for has been opposed to it or had the same concerns. The structure of the deck itself, the platform, that 12-inch base and, the lattice and framing below is typically, we've done this a number of ways with a number of different finishes, but we've also built decks that are 8 or 10 feet in the air with fireplaces on top of them that terminate at deck level. So no, we've never had opposition to that particular detail. And I think, Dave, I've kind of shared with you a couple of photos of some different things, and I know that your preference has been for doing this just the way we've got it proposed. And again, that's what we've found to be appealing for other homeowners that we've worked for, and we've seen it done this way very frequently.
Yeah, and based on those photos, my wife and I think it looks great.
Okay,
Kind of a conundrum for me personally, because I think the suggestions we're giving aesthetically are accurate. I don't know if the homeowner is bound and determined to do this, the position on the house or whatever, and all that. I don't know that it would deem me to say no to it. I would certainly recommend the recommendations we're giving you. That's kind of my quandary.
yeah. And I guess for me, I'm not sure why I haven't heard why you'd be opposed to putting a solid panel instead of the lattice below the fireplace. We think that's maybe a compromise, so you don't have to go for any extra expense.
What would it look like? You paint it? Do you maintain it? Do you?
Same as your, it could be the same material as your lattice is. It would just be solid. So it's, so what's your
Well,
lattice?
I think it'd be kind of unusual because the fireplace does not extend across the expanse. I think it's 8 feet across, and the fireplace is not that, is maybe half that. So you're gonna have something, I think it would be goofy having just a 4-foot panel and then lattice work on each side of it. And again, I'm not seeing any photos where that's been done. I've looked on the internet since the last 2 weeks for elevated decks and fireplaces. I have not seen that anywhere else, so I'm confused.
The solid panel would be the width of the stone veneer on the north elevation.
Right.
So it would just continue straight down. It wouldn't be just a couple feet or whatever. It would be that whole width so that the whole thing continued to the ground.
Right, I think it's a 4-foot width fireplace, and I have not seen any photos. I've been on Instagram, I've been on youth house. I mean, I've been a bunch of different things. I've never seen just a 4 feet out of an 8-foot structure being down to the ground at all. It's just been one substance.
It wouldn't be 4 feet. I'm not sure where you're getting that. The width of the stone
So the fireplace width is about 6 feet.
all the way to the ground.
Okay, the fireplace width, Mark just said, is 6 feet, so.
And the
we
width
would
of the
have
room
6
is
feet.
16 feet roughly, so.
Another suggestion would be on that end, that elevation, do a full solid skirting and don't do any lattice, just make the whole thing solid.
Mark, so it's a 16-foot across there, and of that 16 feet, 6 foot is the footprint of the fireplace?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that looked crazy to have just a 6 foot down to the bottom and then have lattice work on each side of it. I personally, again, I've been on a zillion different photo sites, looking to see how these things would look, since you were concerned about this levitating fireplace, and I don't see anything like that. They go with the levitating fireplace, every single photo I've ever seen.
So you didn't look at anything that had real stone or real brick because it goes to the ground. That's the way it works.
Yeah, I have not seen any photos that people have posted where you've got underneath that at all. It's just been lattice work or open most of the time, and it looks great.
So I agree with
Okay.
Mr. Davis on this. The idea of putting a different material just underneath the fireplace and having lattice on either side of that and stone above it, it seems a little convoluted. I would do either lattice across the entire bottom as we've proposed. I mean, stone would be the only thing I would consider continuing to grade. But again, I don't think I'm not opposed to obviously the appearance of what we've proposed here. I think it looks perfectly fine. I've seen it a bunch of times, and I've never come across anyone who's been terribly opposed to that appearance.
And you would be reticent to agree to make the skirting on that elevation completely solid, the whole run of it, as opposed to lattice.
I'm not excited about that at all. I would not like to do that.
Okay, so that's fine. I think we've kind of talked through a few options, and it sounds like you guys are wanting to keep it as it is. And I guess at this point, I'd say we could just have a vote.
I'll make a motion to approve 523 Webster Forest Drive as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
We're voting as submitted.
Yes.
I vote yes with some reservations, but I vote yes.
All right, opposed?
Opposed? Opposed. Opposed.
Opposed? All right. The project, I guess at this point, has not been approved by the ARB. So you've heard our comments, and
so the way that it works is that when it has been denied, if there are recommendations that the ARB has that you would like to agree to, you would not have to come back to ARB, and staff would be able to approve it with any recommendations that are on the record that have been discussed.
I'd be willing to make that recommendation. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. I'm a little upset here. I'm really upset here. So what you guys are insisting on is that we have a solid platform underneath 16 feet of this deck. Is that right?
No.
no, sir, that's not what we said.
You want just 6 feet, and on the other sides, you want something else, like lattice work.
Yeah, I mean, should we send a picture? Because we have options. We talked through this last time.
Can we leave a illustration with
Right,
Laura?
we'll send a lot of options.
Yes, the
Yeah,
ARB
okay.
can provide additional
Okay.
recommendations. They can
right.
provide
Okay.
those to staff and we will provide them to the
Yeah.
applicant.
And it just may be here that we're having because we're not in person and there may be a misunderstanding here too. So
Mhm.
once
Well,
you
you-
understand what we're talking about, maybe
Well, I don't think it was a misunderstanding. The fireplace is gonna be 6 foot across on a 16-foot deck. So you want something grounded. So what are you telling me we have to do in order to get your approval?
Yeah, so what we had asked before is if you would consider to have stone the width of the fireplace to the ground or some other solid material. Those were 2 of 4 different ideas that we came up with.
Just 6 feet of the 16 feet is supposed to be solid and the rest will be what?
What you have.
Lattice work?
That was one of the suggestions that the board made, yes.
What other suggestions were there?
Stone, the same width of the fireplace to the ground.
That's 6 feet, and then we have 16 more, you got, 16 minus 6, we got 10 more feet, 5 feet on each side of that and cover that with what?
Sir, we're going to go ahead and they're going to provide some information to staff. Staff will provide that to you. And then we can move forward with those recommendations and then you can discuss those with staff.
I want to move forward, so if you guys are telling me that you're going to approve it only if we have certain things, I need to know that because this thing is supposed to start in August and we want to go.
Right.
So I just want to know what it is that you guys are going to insist that we do in order to get it approved.
So the items that they have already discussed in this meeting are the only things that they have recommended in order to approve this project.
They want you to take the solid.
Okay, so if I say, fine, we'll sit here and we'll have at least 6 foot of solid and then on lattice work on the other side of that, does that get us approved?
Solid all the way around.
Or solid all the way around? I've never seen a photo with this. I'd love to see some ones that you guys have done, so that would make me feel better, but if that's what it's gonna take to get your approval, then we're stuck. We'll have to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound, I think the city will send you what the options are and you can pick from those and deal with them, I guess.
So just to be clear, the recommendations that are made, if Dave agrees to one of those recommendations, we don't have to go through this process again. We can get approval from staff, not through another ARB meeting.
That is correct. We are going to give you some recommendations. If you go with any of those recommendations from the ARB, you do not have to come back to the meeting.
It's okay.
And we will forward those ASAP.
Mark,
We will forward those ASAP to you.
send them ASAP.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, good night. Meeting is adjourned.
Fuck you.
All right. Good to see y'all.
Actually, really